So, we are the Leg Kick Podcast. This is episode 2 sexy of the Leg Kick Podcast. And we're in a bit of an MMA drought here. I don't know if you guys talked about Risen in my absence, or did we talk about Risen?
No, but Kai Asakura is not very good. That's what we learned today.
Well, Mike's going to choose to be ignorant today. That's all right. So, we are the Leg Kick Podcast. And we coming at you live right now at the moment in the comfy isolation of our homes. If you guys aren't staying home right now, we will come over there and we will beat you with a pool noodle. We're keeping it safe. We're staying at home. We've got our resident Oscar the Grouch, Jeremy Asiffo.
Bruh. If you thought it's all the doubters who doubted the Ravens, eat my shorts.
Well, Ravens are indeed.
Ravens are. It doesn't matter who's gonna. It doesn't matter who we're facing. We're going to the ship.
Ravens are an excellent bird. I like them as well. I kind of prefer crows, maybe falcons, but I do like ravens as well. So I'm not a big doubter of ravens. And then we've got Michael.
This guy.
Joseph Kony, Asiffo, renowned Joseph Kony impersonators. He's doing birthday parties, kids' birthday parties. He's doing, corporate events. So if you need to hire a Joseph Kony lookalike, just call the number at the bottom of your screen. Mike will be happy to oblige. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. My rates are quite affordable, especially during these unprecedented times. So, let us know. And yeah.
So
the melanin deficient gentleman on the podcast who has been gone for a while. His name is Stefano, and he hasn't read a single one of those books behind him. He's just trying to look smart.
You got me. I'm just flexing. I use them as paperweights.
Are you like what's that guy's name? Ty Lopez. Remember the YouTube guy? Like who would be like,
here in my garage.
Yeah,
I just got this new Ferrari here. Yeah. Apparently I've never taken this course, but I'm a big fan of internet cringe. So apparently when he's like, I read a book a day, what he actually does is he reads the first page of every chapter of a book a day. Or like the first page of, I think it was the first page of a book every day. It's like, yeah, read a book a day. So it's about as authentic. And apparently all of the houses that he's in are rented. The expensive cars are rented. It's just a big scheme. So don't trust people on the internet.
Ty, that's not good look, Ty.
Especially melanin deficient ones. Don't trust them.
I hate those people.
Melanin is correlated to trustability.
All right. Stefano, I got to ask you though. How was storming the Capitol the other day?
Very good, Mike. It's even funnier a second time.
I know. It was
good. It was good. We ate a few. We ate a few canisters of mace, but it was good. We're like, wait, as we're storming the Capitol, we see the police and the riot police raising their mace guns at us. And we're like, hold on. Wait a minute. We're white. We're conservatives too. We're white. And they're like, oh, okay, come on in. You want to take some merch? Maybe trash the Capitol. Here. Have some access to some confidential documents. Go, please, run amok. Unbelievable. Not a good time to be a conservative.
Office.
What's that?
Nancy Pelosi's office.
Yeah, damn.
Here's the thing I don't get with that guy is the first thing you do is you take a picture. Like you didn't grab all files and all documents that were there. Like, come on, come on. No, I'm kidding. But
by the way, that's a felony. Apparently, someone from Breitbart. Now we become political channel now. Someone from Breitbart apparently took a picture of a screen of one of the computers, and that's like a big no-no. That's like some kind of treason or it's a big no-no. But man,
that's not good.
Are you guys proud to be a Canadian or what?
I mean,
I've always
every time people say. See, here's the thing. On one hand, I kind of am, but then I saw the Australian guy showing the video of the Trump rally that was going on just below the Steeles Avenue parallel, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. We shouldn't think as Canadians we're immune to these kinds of idiocy, because we're not. And honestly, I've seen us descend slowly into mediocrity, and our right wing is growing here and becoming more and more radical. So thank you, the United States. Your best contribution to us politically has been radicalizing our right wing.
But you know what? I've always said we need a second right wing group. We need a second one because because think about it like this. We don't have the electoral college. We have more of a representation.
We have a parliamentary democracy.
Yeah, we have a parliamentary democracy, but the problem is that we keep splitting our left-wing vote. So every election year, it's the same garbage. We split our vote between the Liberals and the NDP, and we have more of the if you really think about the left-wing base has more of the popular vote. And then every year we vote. The people who vote conservative, I'm not gonna lie, I voted conservative a couple times. Sue me, right?
All right, Mike. It's been nice. I don't think I'm comfortable with you on this podcast anymore. I'm with you, but I think there's a better way to do it, and that's to have ranked choice voting. First, second, third choice, and that way, if you have ranked choice voting, I think a couple of benefits come from that.
Ranked choice voting, I'm completely for. You opened my eyes on that.
It's a good idea because that way you get smaller political parties, a little bit modicum of representation. Maybe the Green Party can get a couple of seats, and if the Green Party gets a couple of seats, they can use some of their political power now to leverage the other party that's in power.
To care about the environment.
To care about the environment. Or you can have certain political parties now, and I've always been in favor of this, that spring up behind one particular political issue. We're the political party against I don't know, people wearing denim T-shirts. Okay, we're against denim T-shirts, and that's the only. As soon as we get the abolishment of denim T-shirts, we're done as a party. People are like, oh, this is, and they had this in the States before they were became a two-party system, right? Like they had abolitionist parties and things like that. So this abolition of denim shirts party comes about. They stir up a little bit of controversy. They win a couple of seats, and then the Liberals say, okay, all right, what do you want? Well, we want the abolition of denim shirts. Okay, perfect. We'll give you that. And then, that's it. They pass their policy. They're done. Obviously a silly example, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And plus,
if you have any more political questions, please DM Stefano so he can answer them.
We need a leg kick political segment hosted.
You know what? I felt like for a while I used to do the Ask Question segment. Remember when I used to do the Ask Questions on Instagram on my personal page? And I felt like for a while it was turning into political questions, anime hour, and hey, would you do X, Y, and Z with said girl? That's what it turned into.
There were three types of questions. There was, do you think Hotakeru in the anime Unagi was really as strong as Ichihara?
Right.
And then Mike with 5 pages of response. Well, if I was going to have to preface this, I think Ichihara's power level has been a little bit overrated.
Dude.
A whole dissertation.
Yeah, a dissertation, exactly.
You know what the sad thing is? The sad thing is, if I ever thought about something way too long, that's what happens. I'd be thinking about. At first, I'd laugh, then I'd think about it, and I'd be like, you know what? Let me give a serious response here.
Mike was like, "This is what Mike did." The guy's like, "Oh yeah, what do you think of Ichiraku Ramen's power levels?" And Mike's like, "Hold on." Okay, so basically,
right? Oh man,
Mike, if your mom's listening, hi, Mrs. Asiffo. Mike doesn't smoke weed. He's a good Christian boy. All right, he only trains the jiu-jitsu, not very much lately, but what can you do?
I mean, no one is, but it is what
Smoking weed doesn't make you a bad Christian. Nor does
there we go. My boy Jared
make you a good Christian.
Hey, I agree. Hey, the plant was made by God apparently, right? So why wouldn't he want you to smoke it, right?
Oh
no, man.
It helps you get closer to God.
No, man. There's more to being a Christian than just not doing drugs.
Yeah, there's also stoning gay people and sexually repressing yourself, and
that's right. You got it. And persecuting crusading other religions. That's right.
Exactly.
That's exactly. There we go. Now you're getting it.
That's what Christianity is all about.
That's what it's all about, baby.
All right. Are we gonna talk sports?
What are those? All right, Mike, pull up the list, my friend. Let's get into it. Let's get into the news, the fight. You want me to go through some fight announcements? You want me to talk about couple of fights that were announced? We got a couple big fights that were announced.
All right,
And
talk about the fights that are announced because I have a couple like news items that are actually kind of serious. I'm not gonna lie. But
I don't have COVID. I just my throat's dry.
But yeah, pull up the fight announcements. Actually, you know what? I could get into it if we want to talk about it now, but
I'm okay with that. But real quick, a couple call outs, yada yada. Jan and Sterling, by the way, you guys are pretty excited for this because I know you guys are marks for Aljo.
I am a stan for Aljo. I really like. I first saw this kind of style, like this kind of wave of, jiu-jitsu guys kicking. I was a fan of that already with Ryan Hall. And now that Aljo has kind of adopted something similar, he's a better boxer than Ryan Hall is by far.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He's a lot more kick heavy in his offense than he previously was when he faced, like, let's say, Marlon Moraes. And I think that's really served him dividends, and I think that could give Petr Yan some issues.
You know what, Mike? I'm going to expand on that. Not just kick heavy, but head movement heavy. Like, he's made the best use of his boxing as well in that he doesn't stay in the same position for very long, either moving his head or his feet, and he's throwing out those long punches in combination with his kicks, folding into grappling range. Just, his game is coming together very nicely, and I think stylistically, I'm very excited to see this fight. I am. Petr Yan, much more patient kind of counter striker, sits down in his shots, low volume, gives away the first few rounds, and then just obliterates you in the later
rounds. But that's the thing, right? If Aljo can't get him out of there early, I worry for him, especially since Petr Yan's vision is impeccable.
Yeah.
When is it taking place, Stefano?
March 6th?
Yes, March 6th. That's correct.
Yeah. All right.
Man, but you know what? If like one of the stories I'm going to talk about is about the UFC kind of distancing themselves away from Donald Trump a bit, and if you want a representative that can help you with that, why not Aljo? Why not Aljo making the rounds, right? So
sure,
if he wins the championship, I think that's Dana White's best wishes, which in the past didn't seem like it was. So anyway,
why does that help them distance from Donald?
Because
I'm assuming.
Aljo,
sorry, Mike.
Sorry, I was gonna say Aljo is actually like a well-known black rights activist in the community of New York. So, yeah.
Where's he from?
I believe New York. I think
he's a New Yorker because he trains. Yeah, he trains out of Serra-Longo gym, and back ethnically though he's Jamaican. He's Jamaican.
Yeah, he's Jamaican, but he's actually like a pretty well-known black rights activist and a very articulate guy. Actually, you know what? I don't like saying that because when you go, oh, very articulate, that's code for, wow, that guy speaks so well even though he's black.
For a black guy. Yeah, but you're black. You can get away with it.
Although it's advantageous for that situation that a politically liberal person is champion, I don't think it'd be too bad for them if a conservative was champion, because I think conservatives are beginning to distance themselves from Donald Trump too. So.
I'd say some are, but he still has an ardent base of supporters. His approval ratings have gone down, but they're not as low as you'd expect.
What is it about Donald Trump that's making conservatives not even be conservatives anymore?
Well, I think we'll get to that, but let's get through the fight announcements first, really quickly.
You're right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Just trying to keep us on track because I do want to get into this as well. But really quickly, we have a new date for Blades versus Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis. That's going to be on February the 20th now.
Ooh.
So
Blades versus who?
Derek Lewis. Personally, not super excited for this fight.
Blades needs it, though. Blades needs it.
Blades, I think it's kind of, to be honest, I think it's more just Curtis Blades spinning his wheels in the mud for a little bit. I don't see much upside to this fight. I think he's the clear next in line after Francis, but yeah, we'll see how that goes, unless Francis wins, of course. And then we've got. Sorry, do you want to say something?
I just want to say I disagree only because, like, technically he should be, of course. Like, if you just look at the rankings and stuff, he should obviously be the next in line. But I think the problem is Derek Lewis has more of a media appeal. He's got more fan appeal. And so I think the problem you run into if you're Curtis Blades is if you're inactive for too long, you might get the Leon Edwards treatment, right?
Fair point, especially because he's producing finishes lately, but yeah, we'll see what this victory against Derek Lewis does for his stock, assuming that he can beat him. And I'm pretty sure, given the holes in Derek Lewis's game, he should be able to handily beat Derek Lewis, given his weaknesses with wrestling and being dragged into the later rounds. And then we've got here's where we get into the real pièce de résistance. Jeez, CTE. Next, we've got a booking for Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Two teammates, actually, both from MMA Masters, will square off for, I believe, MMA Masters. It's MMA Masters.
I thought it was Sanford MMA, no?
No, they're both out of Florida.
Oh, good point. Good point.
They're Henry Hooft staples. They're both Henry Hooft staples.
Yeah, isn't Henry Hooft Sanford MMA? Anyway, who cares? The point is
they're Henry Hooft. They're teammates. Exactly.
What's Gilbert Burns' ranking?
Is it 1 right now, or is he still at number 2? Because last time I checked, it was.
Yeah, if it's not 1, I'd be surprised. But then again, we got Kobe, so.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was Colby 1, Burns 2, Masvidal 3. No, Colby 1, Burns 2. No, Burns is 4, I think. Oh my God.
I forget who was Gilbert Burns' last opponent.
Tyron Woodley.
Right. And that
he beat Tyron in a way that not many people have beat Tyron, where he was able to honestly just draw out. The way he countered Tyron's right hand. drew out the right hand and then was kicking underneath it to the liver. That was a little bit saucy.
Decision?
Yeah, very dominant decision.
Yeah, that happened in the summertime last year, I remember.
Yeah. He spanked him. He got Tyron Woodley soul searching a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So
this is an interesting one. I'm excited for it. I think, given Gilbert Burns' jiu-jitsu and the fact that I think he's a little bit more dangerous on the feet than Usman, to be honest with you. I think he has more areas in which to win the fight, but I also think that, Usman's not to be underestimated. Absolutely. His ability to control people and,
He's got the better wrestling of the two.
Obviously, Usman's got the better wrestling, but the thing about it is Gilbert Burns, world champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, world champion.
Obvious. Is Gilbert Burns not that good at wrestling?
No,
he's good. I mean, he took down Tyron Woodley multiple times in their fight.
Yeah, it's just that Kamaru Usman's a JUCO champion, right? So
actually, NCAA Division III champion.
Division 3,
which is still impressive because he's.
No, yeah, like I remember he was taking on Justin Gaethje and nearly won. I think in one match, and Justin Gaethje's All-American.
Yeah.
So
and then we'll just get to. I know the second of these you guys are gonna have something to say about, so we'll just get through this one quickly. Jimmy Crute versus Johnny Walker. I'll be watching that with interest.
Johnny, can you hear me? Johnny, can you hear me? No, okay.
Never heard of Jimmy Crute, but
he's fun. Got a good Kimura. Aussie lad, I believe.
Wait, what about Kimura?
He's got a good Kimura. He's got a few finishes by Kimura.
Okay.
Guy he may have gotten Peruvian necktied by Misha Cirkunov.
I saw that. I remember I saw that, and I said I'm gonna get it in my jiu-jitsu super fight, and I did. So I was happy. Like that, I remember seeing that, being like, I'm gonna do it next week. And I was like just fishing for it the entire time.
Yeah, and then I super fight, which I sadly was not there for. But
what can you do? It was in Peterborough. It's pretty far.
Dude, I miss competing in jiu-jitsu. I miss MMA as well. But I miss a time where there was a jiu-jitsu tournament every other weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like we all took it for granted, the ability to compete. You know what I mean?
Especially in the summer, there's a jiu-jitsu tournament every day, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, we talked about Hooker versus Chandler, right? That it's been booked.
It's been booked, yeah.
January 23rd, and we'll analyze that one as we get closer to that date. And then Blackwoods Adesanya, we talked about.
March 6th.
Paige Van Zandt booked in bare knuckle against
Super Bowl weekend
against Britain Hart. I don't know how you say that, but Paige Van
honestly, I'll be honest with you. It's against who cares. She could win. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. She could probably win. No offense. It's just,
my girl OnlyFans aunt.
BKFC. I'm like they do struggle, right? It is a struggling organization with getting eyes on the product for more than just the characters they bring, right? Fun fact about that card, by the way. Guess who's on that card as well?
Phil Baroni.
No, the crippler, Chris Lieben.
Oh yeah, he's been steadily putting in work in bare knuckle.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty well.
Oh Lord. So I mean, what do you got to say about bare knuckle? It's sad, man. I said this before, but it's like those fighting pits in Spartacus.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how I feel about bare knuckle. It is just the bottom of the barrel of the MMA industry.
I will say I'd rather them do bare knuckle MMA. If you're going to bring in MMA guys, do bare knuckle MMA, right? I've kind of wanted to see that as an experiment. I wouldn't necessarily tune in every week, but bare knuckle MMA sounds kind of cool,
Yeah, I suppose so. Man, I don't know what to say other than it's a sport that I think is going to struggle to draw in new young talent, and I think it's going to just continue to exploit the elderly and traumatized.
Yeah.
I think people are too squeamish to watch it. Most people in the West,
but not in the East, right?
Not in the Far East because they friggin' watch little kids compete in Muay Thai. So.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's a cultural thing.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't want to hear that as an excuse for why.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Let's move into the supple topics that you wanted to discuss. The supple topics.
Okay, so I don't know which one I want to get into first because there's some interesting conversations in both. The UFC removes the Combatant in Chief documentary off of their website, and this is a documentary that features the president of the United States, at least the president for about 10 more days right now, Donald Trump. And it
Lock him up. Sorry, go on.
Right, and it focuses on the what do you call it? It focuses on his involvement in kind of helping the UFC out at a time when they kind of needed the help. And they've kind of decided to remove it from their website. This obviously is coming basically a couple days after the riot, which I mean, everyone knows what happened. Like, let's. I'm not gonna, everyone knows what happened. And so I'm not surprised. It's weird because I'm not surprised. This is the business thing to do. You should probably distance yourself away from a guy who kind of incited a riot. But I'm kind of shocked because Dana White has been an ardent supporter of Donald Trump.
Well, keep in mind, this isn't Dana White's decision alone.
Mm-hmm.
Dana White's he's pulling the strings to a degree, but as we saw with the whole COVID situation early in the pandemic, he's liable to have his hand forced every now and then by investors, by shareholders, and by
Mickey
Mouse himself. Like we said, come on, motherfucker, you're going to put on a fight during a pandemic? I will crush you, Dana.
I don't know if that's a Mickey Mouse impression or Christian Gamboa impression, but
we should call Christian and mess with him, seeing as there's no we're in a fight drought. But continue.
No, I was kidding. But yeah, no, I'm just surprised because usually a lot of times it boils down to this. Dana White's rhetoric when it comes to Donald Trump is, Donald Trump's my friend. I'm going to support my friend. That's literally how it goes, right?
Yeah, he supported us at a time when we needed support. Now we're going to support him at a time when he needs support.
Yeah. So I would think that, he probably would have fought a little harder to keep it on the website or to at least like defend his friend. But there's sometimes I guess there's some things you can't defend, and of course inciting a riot is something you can't really.
Like I said, keep in mind this isn't just Dana White's call, right?
Yeah, of course, and of course it should be said, while Dana White is the figurehead of the UFC, he doesn't own the UFC. He's simply the commissioner, right? So,
yeah, he's a minority stakeholder, so
yeah.
he has some sway, but I mean, I'm not surprised. There's a certain threshold to which it, you friend or not, you can't really justify the actions that have been taken. And now, when you're starting to compromise democracy and the institutions that hold up the United States, and you're only 10 days away from getting ousted, I think it's time. I think it's time to cut ties.
Yeah. I always said I remember when Biden, they got called for Biden. I remember going to Jeremy and being like, remember I said, I was like, hey, we better watch those nuclear codes, eh? He might call Kim Jong-un one time.
Oh, Trump?
Yeah, he might call
Listen
Xi
here,
Jinping
Kim.
one time and be like, hey, it's 111110.
Listen, see, I know we haven't been the best of friends over years, okay? And I know I haven't had the nicest things about you, but listen, okay? I'm going to give you the nuclear codes, and you're going to pull one over on Sleepy Joe. They're going to be crying for me back. It'll be tremendous.
No, but in all seriousness, like I think this is it's the good move. I was surprised. It's the business thing to do. But anyway, the big one, the one I want to talk about, and I want to try to treat it with as much respect as we humanly possibly can.
Oh, before we move on, can I quickly say one point just on the
Sure.
and Trump? How cringy to have a documentary aligning as a sports league politically aligning yourself with a figure like that. That is pure cringe. I don't care that he helped you out in the past, and this is kind of like the theme to a lot of the UFC stuff they put out on Fight Pass that I've been noticing, where it's like, look at us, we're UFC, the organization, we were going to go bankrupt, haha, let's jerk ourselves off, everybody cares. Nobody fucking cares. Give us fights. We don't care about you as an organization. We don't care that you were able to brilliantly buy the UFC for a small price and now it's valued at this. No one cares. Okay? So
I care a little, I'm not going to lie.
A little, but it's just so I don't care at all.
Yeah, when they beat you over the head with it, every other thing is about how they were in the dark ages and then they got pulled out.
Every other thing. You're a fight promotion. Promote your fighters. Like, that's all I care about.
Because it's a figurehead who is so polarizing. I think politics before this man got in office has been fairly respectable, and I think the reason it's been respectable is so that corporations and people can back you without half of the population or half of the world hating you. But because he's been so polarizing, that's why it's like people who are just regular sports fans who may have a difference of political opinion, like yourself, Stefano, are saying it's so cringy and everything like that. So we should be able to look at a corporation saying, look, this president has done some good things, and we should be able to look at it no matter what no matter where we reside on the political spectrum and say, okay, that's fair. He did a good thing, and be able to say.
Well, I will say
Jeremy,
this though.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, whatever. I don't care. Give me my fights, okay? Like, I know I've said this a million times. I don't care what Kraft Singles has to say about BLM. I don't care what Nestle has to say about the environment. Shut up. Give me my product. Make me feel like a scumbag for buying it. Because I know some kind of inequitable treatment went into this, but like I don't care about you taking these phony stances on political issues because it's convenient for you. I don't care, and that goes both ways across the aisle. And I was just kind of more saying like the self promotion of the UFC is kind of gross.
Well, I think the thing is that I'll say two things. One, if you actually take a look at Dana White and the way he was marketing himself, it's weird because you could see them kind of always being the counterculture, right? They try to market themselves as the anti-authority. And when that anti-authority was predominantly right-wing, i.e. the George Bush administration, they were left. And when it's now the counter, I guess.
Wait, Dana White was left wing at some point?
At some point. He didn't outright say it, but a lot of his. Yeah, you take a look. It's weird.
I'm gonna need some evidence of this.
Don't worry, we'll talk. But research.
Citation needed.
Huh? Sorry.
Oh, I just said citation needed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, no, you could take a look. It's very interesting how they market. But the other thing is, I think having a history of the UFC and having that, like, we were at a Dark Ages documentary is needed. But the problem with it, and this is where I agree with Stefano, is they beat you over the head with it every single time. And I find it convenient that, you mentioned that you're doing so well and you've gotten out of the Dark Ages, but whenever someone brings up something like fighter pay, unionization, treating your fighters right, maybe a pension plan of some sort, all of a sudden it's, we don't really have the money like that,
Independent contractors, we're broke.
Yeah, right. And so
we're not a monopoly.
It feels kind of weird, right? It feels weird, especially when you know the history of the UFC. You're like, So, yeah, I do kind of see that point, right?
So, what was the next thing we were going to talk about, Mike? Something about, I don't know. Okay. It sounded like you were going to tell me that a puppy got run over in the parking lot while we were recording the podcast. Like,
yeah, no, I want to treat this topic with some respect.
Actually, sorry, Mike would be celebrating if a puppy got run over in the parking lot because he hates dogs. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but please continue.
But yeah, no, like I said, I it's weird when you hear a story like this and then you transition into it and transition out of it. But I think it does raise a large conversation. So Irwin Rivera, the former bantamweight in the UFC, was charged of attempted murder. What's even more troubling is reportedly, I think it's pretty much confirmed, but when
it's his sisters.
It was his sisters. He stabbed his sisters multiple times. And when talking to police, he was reportedly quoted as saying, actually, it's pretty much confirmed. He said, it was his purpose. It was his higher purpose.
Didn't he say God or some entity told him to do it?
Yeah, he said a higher power told him to do it, and they're in a better place now. The girls released a statement. I want to get the proper statement. I don't want to play around with their words here.
Yeah, I completely forgot that this story happened, but we just want to say before we get into the particulars and we discuss it, our hearts go out to the Rivera family, and it's a terrible situation. It's a terrible, terrible situation, and I don't know, Mike. Are the daughters still alive at this time?
They're alive. They're alive. Good. Statement.
We're pulling for you to pull through, and for a happy and speedy recovery, and just healing for the whole Rivera family right now, because it really is an awful situation.
Yeah. So his sister, I didn't get a chance to actually confirm her name, so if I butcher it, I apologize. It's spelled Lezlye, so I'm gonna say Leslie. She released a statement on Facebook saying, "Me and Kels, the other sister who got stabbed, are fine and well. So we just want to clear the air and let it be known that this is not about us. We love our brother to the fullest, and anyone that knows and our family knows that exactly how much we love and mean to each other, and knows just how close of a family we are. We wish for him is to get the professional mental help he desperately needs. This past weekend, my brother hasn't been acting like himself, not sleeping or talking like himself, and completely just losing interest in his training, which we all know is what he lives to do. This concerned me, and had me jump on the next airplane ASAP and go check on him. Unfortunately, his mental stage was worse than we could have imagined, and before we could help him, he completely broke. This is not easy for me and my family, but I ask to please keep my brother in your prayers. Pray he can stabilize and come back to us because sometime within the past 24 hours, his mentality has completely corrupted into something unrecognizable. Again, we love our brother and 100% here to support him and try and get him the help he so desperately needs.
That's compassion to the fullest, and wow.
This, I'm not gonna lie, maybe it's because I compete myself, but this scared me. It scared me on a level that it shook me because, it feels like so often we hear stories about, mental health deterioration with combat sports athletes, particularly in the boxing realm, and we never really had a story like this in MMA.
I'm gonna correct you, Mike.
Yeah, sorry,
John War
you're right,
Machine
you're right.
Copenhaver.
Yeah.
There's a few other ones that flew under the radar because people aren't very reticent to talk about them, but I can name rattle a few off right now. So there's John Copenhaver. Right. There's not George Roop. Who's the other tall guy from the WEC? There's another guy in the WEC who said he was going to stick his dogs on his girlfriend. There was the case of the guy McGregor fought, Brazilian dude. Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, yeah. Why is this not Brimage? Why
Brazilian dude?
Yeah, but, I know. It's why is it? It was like the first guy he faced.
Thiago Santos also had some mental health things where I think he took his girlfriend's ex-girlfriend's boyfriend hostage. Like, violent and impulsive behavior. It happens with these ex-combat sports and combat sports athletes.
Sorry,
right?
I was trying to refer to
Brian Bowles.
Sorry?
Brian Bowles. There's another one.
Yeah. I was going to say, sorry, not a story that's highly publicized like this. That's why I tried to kind of allude to. But I think the problem is that we don't talk about it. And we don't understand that this thing has consequences, and it's something that I think for all our combat sports athletes, it's I don't know how to put this into words, but it's something that does take a part of you away, and it's hard because I sit here because, of course, this is an evil thing done, and I'm not here trying to justify anything, right? I just want to make that absolutely clear.
Oh, real quick, the WEC fighter I was thinking of, Josh Grisby, had a horrific domestic abuse case. But
yeah,
go on.
Because this I just want again, it's hard.
It's a difficult line to walk because, where do you start condemning the individual? Where do you start condemning the action? We're not doctors here on the Leg Kick. Who's to say what underlying mental health issues were going on? Clearly, this is different from a case like a War Machine where, he was an abusive piece of shit. This is someone with a deteriorating mental state. We don't know what his mental health conditions were going into it. To me, it resembles schizophrenia, but honestly, we don't know. And I think the underlying point is here, and why it scares me and Mike so much, is because brain trauma, there's no amount of brain trauma that's good for you. And we all like to celebrate victories of people in the cage as like a triumph of the human spirit and technique and whatnot. But there are consequences to this, not just to your own physical health, but it takes something away from you. It takes a part of you away. And none of us are getting out of this
scot-free. It's just not going to happen. There's a price to pay. And it makes, when you hear stories like this, especially one that's so, what's the word? It's not just highly publicized, but so like indicative of a mental state deteriorating into this. It scares me because of, like we all have aspirations to do something in this sport. And, you wonder, am I going to be the one? Sometimes you have that dark kind of thought. Is this going to be me 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? And this is why it shook me, because it's so visceral to his mental state deteriorating into doing something this evil, right? It's not like you mentioned, like a war machine where it's like this guy was a garbage person before and is a garbage person then. It's someone deteriorating.
Yeah, it's
that the biggest aspect to this story is clearly mental health. But I will let you guys know this story is not unique to just fighting athletes. It's not unique to just athletes. There are people who drink, people who smoke a little bit of weed, and they lose their mental state. It's about mental health in general. We as a society need to pay more attention to our mental health. We need to support those who have issues with mental health. It's something that and even you as the patient, you can't just say, "Oh, I took one too many shots in the cage or whatever, and that's why I have a screw loose." Sometimes it's just you go down a path because of something that you may have seen or something that you may have read, and because your mental state isn't all the way there, it's you start to freak out. So I will say it's something that we need to attack as a society, but I don't know. I don't know.
Jeremy, you're onto something. Yeah,
I know. I don't like hearing stories like this, and it's something that I've personally thought about myself. I don't like hearing stories about this. I don't like talking about things like this because I can and for me to even say I can understand what the gentleman is going through, it sounds messed up to say that, because then you automatically sound like you're equating yourself to being able to go and take somebody's life, but I don't think it's that simple. So I like
that's the problem. Like, I don't want to. Sorry, Stefano. I feel like you've been wanting to say something for a while, but I just want to be clear. None of us is excusing what happened here today. Today, but what happened here? It's terrible act.
It's terrible. Yeah. Our heart goes out to these women because it's just it's evil.
And I do think he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I just think it's
he didn't know. Here's the thing, like, all the facts of the case aren't out. He might have not known entirely what he was doing. It seems like he was having a schizophrenic break, right? Like, not to get too far into this side of the conversation, but we've seen cases like that deranged gentleman in Canada on the Greyhound bus who cut that guy's head off, and he ended up spending some years in a mental health facility and then being released because they determined he was not in his right mind. But I just want to address something that Jeremy said, because I agree with him strongly on this point, especially as someone who I've struggled with mental health myself, mental health issues, depression, and it's not talked about enough. We've come a long way from the days that, just suck it up. And he's right. It's something that affects all facets of our society, from substance abuse to veterans coming back from combat to just people who have experienced terrible trauma in their lives, and it's something that we do need to tackle as a society. We do need people to have ready access to mental health professionals, and not have to decide between eating and their mental health,
But my issue, I'm sorry, Stefano, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm pretty much done. I just wanted to say that
my issue with the mental health professional, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't suggest any solutions, but I just hate how quickly people are to prescribe medication. Not saying that medication isn't a good solution for some folks, but I just hate how quickly people are to recommend people to psychiatrists and not therapists. Psychiatrists are the ones that provide pills and stuff, while therapist is someone who actually talks to and communicates with the psychiatrist. I think it's and it might be the problem of just not enough therapists to go around. Maybe
I
people don't have finances, because therapists are expensive. So
Yeah. Also, psychiatrists are subsidized because they're medical doctors. Psychologists are not. So exactly, like yeah, Jeremy is right. Like a psychiatrist is a doctor with 2 years of training in therapy, and a psychologist is someone who spent their whole life studying it. So there is a big difference. And while there are cases that a medical doctor should be studying, like if you have schizophrenia, you should go to a psychiatrist and get prescribed medication. But yeah, popping pills not always necessarily the answer. Even antidepressants and stuff like that, overprescribed, and frankly, we don't even know how they work really. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. Right? I didn't know that, but apparently that's how antidepressants work. It's like there's no one drug that we know this works for sure. They'll give you a pill. How did that make you feel? Well, it made me want to kill myself. Okay, let's try this one. We'll give you another one. How do you feel? Well, right. I feel nothing at all.
Like, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, and I think I just think that this thing, we have to. It's weird because it's like on one hand, like you see the headline, and of course the reaction is lambaste this guy. Let's lambaste him. But I think when you hear the facts, there is a conversation to be had about our combat sports athletes and about the way we approach mental health in this country, to the point where how did this happen? You know what I'm saying? This is what like how avoidable was this?
And I think how avoidable was this exactly? And I think as far as the brain trauma discussions goes, because again, we don't know to what degree brain trauma impacted this particular case. We're not doctors, right? Mm. But what we do know is that brain trauma definitely doesn't help your mental health. It's an accelerant for sure. It makes existing issues worse and creates issues where there were none. And oftentimes it can make you just, stuff like this occur. We know that. So I think we're in a new era of scientific knowledge and understanding of the brain. We're still not where we'd like to be, but we're starting to get a little more understanding of how CTE works, how brain trauma works, and how, we can map out the brain a little better than we could 20 years. Still not super sophisticatedly, but where am I going with this? For years, the NFL covered up the existence of CTE and long-term brain trauma and its effects on athletes, right? We all know that. We've all seen the Will Smith movie. Mm-hmm. I think now that the cat's out of the bag, we know how brain trauma affects people. We know it exacerbates mental health and can cause deterioration. Why not be on the forefront of mental health research? And it seems counterintuitive, but for sports where brain trauma is a byproduct or an intended consequence of the sport, why not get ahead of it?
Sorry, Stefano. I apologize. Let me just tell my sister calm.
Yeah.
Mishaya, sorry, we're in the middle of the practice.
Sorry. That was perfect.
I apologize.
Sorry. No, it's okay. It's okay. It was just an emotional discussion, and it was good to have a bit of levity. Just like, hold on, hey, can you keep it down? But yeah.
I might keep that in.
Yeah, do it. But yeah, I think it would be in the best interest of the NFL, the UFC, and other organizations where this sort of brain trauma is occurring. Get ahead of it. Donate some money into charity so we can get some research in, so that we can ensure that these athletes, we know the best training methods, and hey, maybe we know some things where we can reverse the effects of brain trauma and heal the brain. Microdosing psilocybin is one thing that has been shown to regenerate nerve cells. CBD is a good one. Taking omegas, mindfulness meditation, things that reduce inflammation, like turmeric, like fish oil. Like these are things that people can be doing. But the research, I know there's certain treatments where you apply certain forms of magnetic stimulation to the brain. We need more research, and I think who better to invest into this kind of research than combat sports organizations and the NFL and other places like that. And that's my long-winded rant.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of say, like, bringing it back to UFC, it's like, I know we haven't had in the UFC, at least with present UFC athletes like Irwin Rivera, that we had something of this magnitude. But let's not forget, Tony Ferguson was going through some issues, not too long ago. And while he didn't, I hate bringing it up because it's like, he didn't get, like, by all accounts, wasn't physical, just a guy, like, acting out. But, it's one of those things where you have to wonder about the well-being of somebody, right? And how is it getting to this point? And, how comfortable are we with this? We're seeing a guy like Diego Sanchez, who's clearly
not of his right mind.
Not in his right mind. And also who when you hear him talk, has fears that he's not in his right mind himself. So, talking about this with the UFC, like, I think it's such a visceral reaction because I think we're in a weird crossroads when it comes to mental health with the sport I love. And I just, like, let's be at the forefront, like you said. But I that's the thing. I just don't know how they approach this. This is a big problem, and I don't know how the Zuffa, not Zuffa, WME and company are going to handle this, and what they're going to do, not just a week from now or 2 weeks from now or a month from now. What are you going to do to mitigate the damage of this and future issues that might come up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was sobering.
Yeah.
Usually we like to keep a little bit of levity here on the leg kick, but occasionally we'll say something serious and, address some real issues. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, anything to add on this one?
Huh?
Anything to add on this one, Jeremy?
No, I'm just about done. I'm just about done with that. Guys, I'm sorry. Sounds like this podcast sounds like your puppy just died. But,
yeah.
Hey,
try
for those of you that
well, we might have a little bit of more upbeat show for you guys.
As fights get back, I'm sure we will. I know there's a couple coming up that we're very excited for. We got that nice trifecta of fights, I believe, starting Saturday. No?
Yeah. That was the next thing. It's like back on the fights. But yeah, Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar are gonna fight next week, and that's a banger. And not a lot of people are talking about it.
Rest assured, we will have a little preview for you guys out on that one.
Yeah. Please. Like, this is the thing, right? I always say this. It's easy to support McGregor versus Poirier, which is 2 weeks from down the road. And by the way, McGregor looks good. He looks in shape. And it's easy to support the big fights, right? But this is a banger too. Right. And it's not like the example I like to talk about. Like, sometimes I like to talk about the really lower bottom of the barrel cards to say that. But this one, I think, has kind of gotten the third billing. Actually, not really. It's more second billing now that Hamza Chimaev is out of his card with Leon Edwards. But for a long time, this was getting the third billing of the Fight Island cards in January.
It's strong.
And I was shocked because not just this fight, but the card is sneaky good.
It's a sensuous little card.
Yeah, it's a sneaky card. If I had to compare this card, this card's like the girl, the nerdy girl at your school who, when she cleans up, looks good. She looks good. So.
Well, I didn't get that. I don't understand how that relates to the nerdy girl who cleans up, but
she looks good.
Max Holloway's a nerdy girl who cleans up. Is that what you're saying?
No. The
You got
card
a crush
is
on
like,
Max Holloway?
The card is I have a crush on his fight game. No, but
you don't have a crush on his fight game?
I have a crush on his fight game, sure. No, but
you have a crush on him?
Absolutely not. He's a married man. I don't want to move in on that, but no. But actually, is he married or does he just have a child with? Whatever. The point, the joke got way too serious. But yeah, Calvin Kattar versus Max Holloway is going to be good. The card's really good. Go watch it. Go support it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a preview out a little bit later. In the meantime, guys, subscribe, hit that sub button, hit that like button, and Tell us. Tell
Wait,
a friend.
wait. Before we go, these Raptors.
No.
We got
Bye,
set up.
guys. Are you guys going to talk about the Raptors?
Yeah.
I don't know. You want to talk about the Raptors?
Do
Let's
I
do
want
it.
to talk about the Raptors? Yeah, man. Wow. One of my favorite dinosaurs, honestly. Kind of like the wolves of the dinosaur world, in that they were smaller in stature, but really made the best of communication and teamwork and a real group effort to bring down larger prey. I'm a big fan of Raptors. What do you guys think? Huh?
Are these facts?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know Raptors traveled in groups.
Yeah, they were like the wolves of the ancient world.
It's crazy. You know what's crazy with the dinosaurs, though? Why are we doing this? No, it's the Raptors. Okay.
No, what's crazy about the dinosaurs? Go. I want to hear your input.
No, I just always said like they were like every mammal that we have on Earth, but in lizard form. You know, like when you hear about, for example, the pterodactyls, we're kind of like birds. You know, like of course they were different. You know, they have different habits and physiology, but they were kind of like the lizard birds. You know, and the Raptors, honestly, lizard wolves, and
honestly, we're thinking that we in a lot of ways we believe that dinosaurs may have been more bird-like than we anticipated. A lot of them, at least.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of interesting. Some of them might have even had feathers. Can you imagine? Tyrannosaurus with feathers?
Yeah. It's just interesting that like a lot of dinosaurs, especially when you read up on them, you know, they weren't akin to like your typical reptiles that you see now. They did have characteristics like certain mammals and certain marsupials. But anyways, okay.
And like birds, these Raptors, these Toronto basketball Raptors.
Hey, good segue.
Basketball Raptors. Well, guys, with that, I'm gonna have to sign off. So you guys talk about your little basketball.
You want to threaten these people?
Yeah.
People. Guys, subscribe, like the podcast. If you don't, we're gonna come to your house and beat you to death with pool noodles. I swear to God, we'll beat you for as long as it takes. I don't know how long it takes to split someone's skull open with a pool noodle, but for the love of God, we'll do it. If it takes a week
feel like
straight,
that'd be very painful.
Yeah, if it takes a week straight, if you die of boredom from us beating you with a pool noodle, we don't care. We won't. We'll be there. We got the week off. We'll do it. We'll book the week off to beat you to death with the pool noodle. If you don't subscribe, like, tell your friends about the leg kick fraudcast. Now, with that being said, Jeremy mentioned something about a puppy dying. I just want to say that the mascot of the Leg Kick podcast, Boomy, is still alive and well. I don't know where he is. He's crying somewhere by the door. But I'm signing out, guys.
All right, later, Stefano.
Peace in the Middle East.
Stefano with his colorful imagination.
Yo, Kyle Lowry, man.
He didn't play last game.
I know. What do you think? They had him out. Look, I'm not gonna lie. The Raptors struggled in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know what Nick Nurse said to them at that timeout in the first, but after that,
together.
After that, they were ready. And I was telling the missus that Yuta Watanabe kid came off the bench and gave him a spark, right? Like, you know, he didn't do a lot on the score sheet, honestly, but the active hands, he was chasing down everybody, made things difficult, and all of a sudden, the Raptors were active defense. Now, statistically, by every measure, Kyle Lowry has been playing really, really well, right? But I feel like we're going to look back. If the Raptors do turn this around, we're going to look back and say this is the game where the Raptors figured it out. The game where Kyle Lowry wasn't there because it made the other guys have to step up. I think, in my opinion, because Kyle Lowry was kind of carrying the team. You see the stats. A lot of stats were like, I think I read something ridiculous, like when Kyle Lowry was off the court, the team was a minus 40 or some insane number like that, you know?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's crazy, you know?
But I mean, they were depending too much on Kyle Lowry. And like you said last week, even though Kyle Lowry is such a phenomenal player, he still isn't enough for them to finish games. And the reason why the Raptors won, the reason goes by the name of Fred VanVleet. You know, he's been their best player since the beginning of the season. And And
I wouldn't say best, but he's had his games.
He's been the most. He's lived up to his name as advertised. He's been the most steady player. I have to say the best in my opinion in terms of the most steady player. Yeah, I think Fred VanVleet is that. And they got enough from Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam is starting to pick his game up. Like Nick Nurse said last week, I mentioned it on last week's podcast. Pascal Siakam had to just go back to doing what made him an all-star.
But you know what I also like though is that Pascal's going to the post. He's going to the post, and not just go. Sorry.
Which is what he was doing before.
Yeah, like Nick. I don't know if Jamal McGlure or they've been working on something in the post, but he's not just going to the post and looking to score.
Yeah.
He's finding the open man, and I think the post can be really good for when your team is struggling. You slow things down. You back them down, and you get some easy twos every once in a while. Now, I know, like, the new age basketball fans are going to roll their eyes, look at me, and tell me to shut up. And analytically, it would suggest that you are kind of putting your team at a disadvantage when you do go to the post too much. But I think having a healthy dose of it every once in a while, maybe hitting a 2-foot layup every once in a while, maybe finding the open man on a cut, maybe kicking it out for 3 out of the post, can really help a team every once in a while find a rhythm. And I really like you saw it. Pascal Siakam had 8 assists.
Yeah.
Sacramento. 8 assists. Right? And I guarantee you at least 5 of them came from him backing somebody down the post and finding somebody open.
Yeah.
Right? So
I mean, handles is not his game.
Yeah.
So whenever they get into that half court offense, handles is not his game. And threes he can hit on occasion, but those are still not where he gets his buckets. His buckets are backing people down into the post and off of fast break plays.
Well, he's great around the rim. He's great around the rim, right? So, yeah, like I think.
But you know what? The key was actually though that the reason why they were able to come back into this game is because they got a lot from their bench, which they haven't been getting for all of the other games, really.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying is that, look, I don't want people to read into this and be like, yo, Kyle Lowry needs to go. But, like, he was out of the game. And I think what happened is guys understood that their backs are against the wall and their crutch is not there.
Yeah.
So what do you do when your crutch isn't there? Now the hope is we're recording this Sunday. So the hope is tonight against Golden State, Kyle Lowry comes back and the team is stronger now that he's back, right? Because now they know they have to do their part and then everybody's there. But, they could also backslide because maturity doesn't work in a straight line, right? And that's kind of what I'm afraid of. But the other thing I wanted to talk about before we do sign out is OG. I'm concerned. I'm not gonna lie. We signed him to a lot of money, and I just want to say this off the top. OG is one of the hardest working people in that organization. I want it to be said. He puts on his lunch pail. He gets his lunch pail. He puts on his hard hat, and he gets to work, and he tries his hardest. With that being said, he hasn't exactly progressed offensively the way you'd like him to. Right? And we've kind of committed third option money to OG. Oh my. So, OG Anunoby for the record is his name, but whatever. But we committed third option money, right? So because we committed third option money, what are you concerned? Do you think it's just whatever? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
Oh, wow. To be honest, that's not even something that I was even in my mind. I mean, I was excited about keeping him long term because he does work hard. We do get enough from OG, but enough is not good enough from a third option contract kind of guy. That's actually a good point. This is something that I'm going to have to see. I'm going to have to pay attention to when I watch him play. But I think this does put the Raptors in a predicament, and I think this is the reason why a lot of people kind of put OG in the mix whenever they talk about trade options. So I think down the line, OG, and I hate to say it, but I don't see OG getting that much better offensively. He doesn't. He moves kind of in a way where it's like his game doesn't really.
I think I see what you're saying. I think what you're saying.
Okay, so you see what I'm saying, and hopefully the leg kick community can understand that his game doesn't really have the foundation for developing too many offensive assets. But he is an
I
asset.
think I think the reason why people thought he could maybe turn into that is because he does remind me of a young Kawhi Leonard, at times, where like he just makes these incredible defensive plays, and he's not exactly inept for offensively. Like he can hit a three, He does have moments.
Can he get his
right?
own?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Shot creation's his issue, but that was the thing with Kawhi Leonard. Once Kawhi figured out the shot creation, sky was the limit because Kawhi had the mental fortitude. He had these incredible defensive plays, and he had
the personality of Kawhi too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So I think the thing is people see look, we're a couple years removed from when OG had that breakout game against Cleveland, right? Where back against the wall, down 2-0, down by 20, and DeMar DeRozan's on the bench, and OG all of a sudden steps it up. So OG has proven that he does have the intestinal fortitude that you want out of a guy, right? He has proven that he has that ridiculous defensive.
Kawhi's progression was much more faster than OG's.
Of course, right? And I'm saying the reason why I think people were kind of thinking that he could turn into that is because they see a lot of parallels between him and Kawhi Leonard, so at least an early Kawhi Leonard.
Why hasn't he turned into that?
Well, I don't know. I think.
You think it's because of what I said? Do you think it's because he doesn't have the foundation? He doesn't have the athletic skills? There's not that part in his brain that can click as to, look, this is how I move my feet. This is how I.
Well, I think what it is
the upper body to the lower body.
Well, I think what it is that
how I create my own shot.
Yeah, I think it's a shot creation thing. I've always said with Pascal Siakam that the evolution. I said last week the evolution to his game next is he's got to develop that left to right crossover, right? Or he's got to develop some sort of acrobatic layup package where he can finish tough layups around the rim, right? These are kind of the shot creation tools you kind of need to get to that next level. Now with OG, I think it's just as simple as have a shot off the dribble. You pump fake, take a dribble, shoot, right? Pump fake, shimmy, dribble, shoot. Like have a off the dribble jumper to mix him with a 3-pointer that is relatively decent. Like it's a relatively decent 3-pointer. So once he gets those two things going, he should be okay. But the problem is don't force those things to your game right now. And what I'm seeing from OG is he's forcing that shot creation out of him when really catch and shoot is his thing, right? So just take some shots.
I've seen OG make some nice big man plays in the post though. Sometimes off the rebound, sometimes off of a nice assist. Do you think we can game plan so that we get as much value out of that third option money that we gave him? You think coach him up?
Look, I think if any person can figure out how to maximize OG, it's going to be Nick Nurse. I am
maximize him offensively.
Yeah, I am firmly in the camp of Gunslinger Nick. Like that's my name for him, Gunslinger Nick. Because you know what, Nick Nurse, he's not as much of a risk taker as he was in his first year when he had Kawhi in them. Like, who thinks of the box and one, really? Like, come on, or the triangle and two. But he is still a gunslinger, right? He is still a guy who risks it. And so I think he's going to do some things with OG to open them up and experiment a little bit. So,
Okay. Well, last thing I want to say is that in terms of this season, I think the key to the Raptors' success, the key to the Raptors making it to the playoffs, and in my prediction, the second round of the playoffs, is going to be, as they've always done, matchups. Working the lineup and figuring out how to get the most success out of each lineup and putting guys together and just mixing and matching, which is Nick Nurse's forte, gunslinger Nick. Nicky. Oh, can I give my prediction of the national championship game tomorrow?
All right, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for all you football heads, you got number 1 Alabama taking on number 3 Ohio State. And as much as it pains me to say this, I gotta go with Ohio State next week. I'm a Michigan fan, and that's why it's so painful for me to utter those words. But I think Justin Fields is a terrific game. Is a terrific pocket passer. Actually, no, I haven't watched enough games, and they've only played 6 games, so let me not say that. But I think Justin Fields can get the job done, and that's just my prediction. I think that Ohio State has more weapons than Alabama has, and they're gonna get the job done. So, if you're gonna put money down, that's my recommendation.
All right. So I guess let's end the show off. In this crazy, mixed up world, where Stefano stormed the Capitol and David. Oh, by the way, we didn't even address this. David couldn't make the show today. He had a emergency feminist poetry slam meeting as well. So, David, we're supporting you, brother. Take home that grand prize. But yeah, in this crazy mixed up world, where COVID cases are rising, remember the most important thing is life, family, and this podcast. Stay safe, everybody.
Peace.